Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Greek. What is going on? My name is William, here with my beautiful girlfriend and co-host, Caitlin Spites. Caitlin,
Hey,
how you doing, baby girl?
I'm doing better.
Better.
I woke up in a horrible mood this morning.
You did wake up in a little bit of a bad mood,
I
yes.
slept in, I slept through my yoga class. I was just really beating myself up over it, which is so silly. It happens. But just because I missed a yoga class, all of a sudden, I'm not an adult. I can't get my shit together. I was just going in on myself out loud to Will. He was like, yo, chill. It's okay.
I felt really bad, but I was like, baby, we've been taking on so much stuff. We've been so busy these last couple of weeks. And it was like one time that you missed a 7 a.m. yoga session. I wake up, you're just like, this and this. I'm like, yo, it's okay. Yo, it's okay. But I also understand too, like sometimes it's okay to be hard on yourself. I understand that, but I was like, dang, it's all right, baby. It's okay.
You know what you did that I actually really liked?
What?
I kept it going in on myself, and you were like, you know what? It's okay. Just go in on yourself for a second. Let it out. And then you can be nice to yourself. But it's okay. Just be hard on yourself for a second because you need to do that. You need to get that out. I can tell. I was like, thank you. Anyways, and then I got it out, and then I was good.
No, I'm glad that helps because sometimes, yeah, we need to get it out a little bit. Like it's okay to get frustrated, but like let it out. Understand sometimes, like, all right, let's suck it up and let's move on. But I'm glad you're feeling a lot better.
You know what made me feel better?
What?
Smelling your armpits.
Smelling my armpits?
It always makes
What?
me feel better.
How? Please tell me how.
It's well, I've talked about this before, but it's the smell theory. So
Is this Tinks's?
no, that's box theory.
Oh.
I made up smell theory.
Oh, Kate's smell theory.
Kate's theory. It's
Wait,
not a theory, it's actually science.
what is your smell theory?
So obviously, your partner, you're supposed to love their smell. That's their pheromones, right? Even if it's BO, even if it smells a little bad, you still really like it. But if you really like their smell, then all of a sudden you start hating their smell, it's time to break up.
Interesting theory. I'll agree to that theory to a certain extent. After a certain point of ripeness, I don't think there's anything coming back from that. Like, I can acknowledge, hey, you literally smell like a pack of sour Skittles has been left out in the desert for 3 years. I still love you. Doesn't mean I love you any less, but you smell like Chernobyl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I never smell like that.
I walked into the bathroom the other day after one of your yoga sessions, and you left some of your stuff out, and I actually had to set the bathroom on fire.
It was bad. He said, I think something died in your bathroom. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I walked in and whoa,
Whoa.
I threw them away. I threw my clothes
She
away.
actually threw her clothes down the dumpster because they smelled so bad. So I agree with your theory. I love a little BO. Give me a little bit of your ripeness, but up to a certain point, for sure, you know?
I'm going to be smelling ripe right now. Our AC keeps going out randomly and we're in sweatsuits and socks. And the bangs filled with sweat already. It's been like 4 minutes.
And like we're trying to keep up with the vibe, right? Like this hat, sweatsets, like that's what we're trying to do. And it's like boiling in our apartment right now. I called our building manager. I'm like, is there any? She's like, oh, call me back Monday. I'm like, yeah, nice. It's been horrible weather in LA, but the 2 nice days are going to be this weekend. Like, perfect. I can't wait to sweat for the next 3 days.
That means we need to be out. Well, we're going to be outside. We have a nice full weekend coming up.
We have a crazy weekend. I'm excited. Tonight we have a back-to-back-to-back of 3 of some of our favorite artists. We got Toro y Moi, we got James Blake and Steve Lacy. Tomorrow we have
Brink.
We got our friend Brink playing a show at the Pride Festival. After that, we have this holiday party at Petite Hermitage, this like very exclusive hotel we got invited to. And then the day after that, we have this Greek festival. So you're right. We're going to be outside, but we got a lot going on this weekend. My goodness.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be so fun, though.
Are you going to wear your Dr. Martens?
Okay.
How about you tell the people about your Dr. Martens?
So Will is 33 and he does old people things all the time. One time we were in Ralph's and he looks at the person bagging the groceries and he goes, "Oh, are these new grocery bags?" And he starts inspecting.
They were so thick. They were really made well,
He starts inspecting the grocery bags and he's talking for 10 minutes to this guy about the different texture of the bags. I'm like, am I grocery shopping with my grandfather? What is going on?
I really started to appreciate the little things, and by little things I mean like the stuff that my grandparents find cool.
But I got a pair of shoes in the mail the other day.
Yeah, hold on, let's not escape this. What she did her first old person thing the other day, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. So I'm like, I don't know, making some food or something, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, these are like kind of like Dr. Martens." I was like, "Doc Martens, like docs."
They are technically Dr. Martens.
PhD for where'd you get?
At least I'm not.
Good.
At least I'm not saying stuff like, "Let's go to the Walmart or the Target." I'm not doing that yet.
But yeah, I'm very excited to announce I have partnered up with a company. These beautiful plants that you see right here are mine and Kate's plants. We have a plant company that we've started called Cozy Plants. CozyPlants.com. We have low maintenance, inexpensive plants that are honestly gorgeous. We have monochromatic, polychromatic pots. We're going to have accessories. All the plants are going to start coming with little instructions how to take care of them. Really exciting. But yeah, if you ever need some house plants, CozyPlants.com.
They actually are really awesome. Like, look how cool this pot is. And they actually are really low maintenance. Y'all, I've killed every plant I've ever owned. We've kept these plants in here for a couple of weeks now, and they're going strong.
They're hanging.
Yeah, that's impressive for me.
They're looking good. They're looking good. Speaking of the plants, we've been ingesting a specific type of green plant recently. Well, I have. And we've been watching the show Dave on FX, and it has been blowing my mind.
It is so freaking good. The new season is out, season 3. It's probably the best yet. It's so funny, but it's written so well. Probably one of the most well-written comedies I've ever seen.
It's insane. And you said something funny last night. I was like, I just don't like he's so unlikable as a character, and some of the best television characters are unlikable with a hint of, oh, I kind of understand why they're doing these sort of things. So it's beautiful. It's very artistic. It's relevant. And there's so many aspects of it that I honestly relate to in a weird way. And it's been a really enjoyable watch. But before we get into the meat of what we're talking about today, we have to do our Greek word of the day. And today is a very fun one. Today is my favorite Greek word of all time. It is a word that is actually difficult to translate. And there is no word like this in English or in any other language that I know. And if anybody does know of one, I would love for you to correct me. But the word is philotimos. Can you say philotimos?
Philotimos.
Then no R, no roll. Philo.
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 Philotimos.
Philotimos.
Perfect. Philotimos.
Philotimos.
Awesome. Philotimos is an attitude or a way of living towards fellow people that shows empathy. It shows compassion. It shows human generosity in a very genuine way. It's taking pride in doing things for others in an honorable way. It is an unbelievable word, and it's something that Greeks really take pride on. It's a reason why when you go to Greece, one of the first things that anybody says is everyone was so hospitable. I take so much pride that Greece, in terms of historically, has pretty much always been on the right side of history. We've always looked out for each other. We've always looked out for humanity. And I think it reflects our culture, and it's something I'm really proud of.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Philotimos, Greek word of the day. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to do my beauty product of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's for your body. And I actually gave this to Will, and he hasn't incorporated it yet. Why is that, William?
Because you have not come in and told me exactly how to apply it.
That's true. That's true. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you right now. This is the Solve Services Correa Cream. It's a daily toning lotion. So usually before your skincare, you put on toner. So you just put this on your body before you put on lotion. And it's like an exfoliator kind of. So it gets off dead skin cells, makes your skin smooth. If you have like a little bit of sun damage, it'll make that look better. I've seen a huge difference like on my chest. I am getting a little older and you can kind of tell that I've been in the sun a lot and it's really smoothed that out like a lot.
Dang. Well, everything you told me about has worked, so I'm down to give it a try. Can guys use it?
Yeah, of course.
All right,
Anyone can use it.
I'm ready.
All right, I got you. I'll
I'm
show you how to
down.
do it. All right, Will, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today we are going to be talking about how to meet your soulmate, aka how we met. It's a beautiful story, and I think a lot of meeting your perfect person comes down to positioning yourself and getting in the right headspace ahead of time so that the right person for you will come along.
Exactly. Very well said. I think we should start off by talking about where we were at the points in our life when we met each other. Like what we
Mm,
were doing for the months before, what led up to that.
I like that. I can go first.
Go for it, baby.
So at the end of 2021, I got out of a relationship, and at that point, was in a little bit of a weird place. I didn't really know exactly what I was going to be doing with my career. Music was going slowly. I was paying for an apartment that was a little bit expensive. Just felt like I didn't really have a good sense and grip on what I was doing and the direction I was going. I was, I mean, I'm just going to get a little bit vulnerable here. I was drinking a lot, more than I ever have in my entire life. I was using other substances as well. Not to a dangerous point, but the alcohol was getting a little bit out of control. And I knew that I had to tackle that first. I knew that I was using alcohol as a crutch to kind of get over all the things that were going on in my life. And that is not the way, and it's never the way. A lot of my life, I have dealt with my problems through alcohol. And I kind of realized that I had to stop doing that and kind of face my shit if I wanted to grow and if I wanted to learn really truly who I was as a person. The reason I'm saying this is I hope it can help somebody else. I'm not ashamed that I was going through this, and I hope that this can help somebody else out. We all go through speed bumps in our life, and it's really important to have good people around you to help you get out of these things. I digress. I started working out again. I started writing a lot of music. I started running. I started reading. I started listening to good music that helped me feel a specific way. And I'll just be transparent. I stopped trying to meet anyone, whether that was girls, friends, connections for work. I just started focusing on myself and trying to handle business for the first time as an adult. I knew that I had to get myself right in order to get the things in my life that I wanted.
Absolutely.
My whole life, I've known what I wanted. And I think that's been a big disconnect for me. I knew what I wanted, but I never knew how to get there. The way to get there is by unapologetically being you, doing you, figuring out the things in your life that you love, and just going for it. Trying is all we can do as human beings. And I started to try. That's sort of where I was at before we met. And I'm very curious to kind of hear where you were at as well.
Mine's kind of similar to you, honestly. I had kind of gone through probably a couple of years of my life where I was doing things that I knew deep down weren't right for me. I was surrounding myself with people that I knew deep down weren't right for me. It doesn't mean that any of these things were necessarily bad, but I just had this nagging feeling all the time that I need to change something. I need to make a change. And so the year before, I had been dating someone and I kind of had that feeling. And I eventually just said, I can't feel like this anymore. So I ended things with them. Um, he was great. It just wasn't for me, you know? And so after that, I ended up moving back closer to a lot of my really good friends. And then after that, I ended up quitting the job that was sucking the absolute soul out of me. I I'm very non-confrontational and I hate having these conversations, quitting things, ending things. I hate having those initial conversations, but once I do it, I feel so much better. And so I did that. I quit that job. I got a new job that was more aligned kind of with what I wanted to do. I started doing the things that I love to do that make me me. I used to make playlists. I started doing that again, listening to music, writing, spending time with people that really uplifted me. I cut a few people out of my life that were bad for me, honestly, friends and stuff like that. And I was just, it's funny. I went back to my apartment that I lived in actually when I first met Will a couple of days ago. And I was in there and I was like, oh, this is the place where I finally grew up and became myself and started making decisions to change my life. I was very reactive about things in my life and I started becoming proactive about things. Like I said, about who I was surrounding myself with, what I was spending my time on. I stopped I stopped caring what other people thought as much and I was just doing the things that I knew were right for me. And I remember around like the time that we met, just the way that I started feeling about myself, I built a bunch of self esteem, honestly, because I made a lot of promises to myself about my goals, the kind of people I want to be around. And then I saw those things coming to fruition because I had taken these chances, made these leaps, and just started really coming into my own. And yeah, I think that is what sets you up to get a lot of things that you want out of life. And the more that you surround yourself with certain kinds of people and do the things that you like, the more of those things are going to come into your life.
Mm.
And I always knew that, but I was always so afraid to do these things. And it's hard, but once you do one, like quitting a job that you absolutely hate and getting another job, then it becomes easier to do the next thing.
It becomes much easier to stick up for yourself when you've stuck up for yourself for the first time. It's liberating.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I just did all of these things. And I was like, I got to a point where I was like, I really feel like myself. And I hadn't felt that way in a really, really long time. And I got to that point, and my life wasn't perfect. I'm just going to put that out there too. I think a lot of people have this idea in their head that they can't meet someone or they can't date until they've worked on themselves so much to where they're this perfect person. Their life is perfect. That's never going to happen. You just need to be going in the right direction and be aligned with what you want and have an idea of how you're going to get there. And the right people and things come into your life to support you. You don't have to be this perfect version of yourself you have in your head to meet someone. You just need to be on your way there.
If you recognize these things and understand what your goals are, your personal goals and across the board goals, it's going to help you find that person and get into that right situation to be the best version of yourselves together.
Yeah, I think if you can get really clear on your values, like what do you value? What is most important to you in life? And then you cut out the things that don't align with those values, then people, whether that be romantic or platonic, people are going to come into your life that align with those values. Things are going to come into your life that align with those values. But you just have to cut off the fat first.
I'm gonna give you a controversial opinion here. I don't think that you should date anyone seriously unless you have considered what your long-term goals of your own personal life are. What I mean by that is this. If you want to sleep around, if you want to date someone casually, that of course, go ahead. But I think you are doing yourself and the person you are dating a disservice if you go into this very serious relationship with no idea of what your end game is here. It's like, how does that even make sense? Why are you in a serious relationship if you don't know? Like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just my, just my take.
All right, should we get into our meeting?
So that being said, we have now in April been working on ourselves, getting into a position to maybe open up to someone and just say, you know what, maybe I can give this person a little chance if they like me. So, do you want to start or should I start?
I can start and you
Oh,
can pick up.
okay, go ahead, baby girl.
So at some point in February, like I said, I'd been doing my thing, coming into myself, cutting people out, whatever. So, sometime in February, one of my friends that I used to hang out with all the time reached out to me. We started hanging out, and she's a musician. I was really into the music stuff. It made sense. We had a lot of similar interests, right? Because I tap back into that interest. That was me. So I'm hanging out with this friend.
What were you doing in the music stuff?
I was just doing the playlist stuff. So I make playlists for Spotify and I'd really gotten into that. And so I was really passionate about it, right? So I reconnected with a friend who's also passionate about music. Makes sense. Aligns.
Absolutely perfect.
Exactly what I was saying. So we became really, really close friends and I started hanging out with her and her friends. So fast forward to April, Rachel and I have been like going out every weekend, having a great time. And like I said, I'm just I just surrounded myself with friends that I really had fun with. Like we ran around like kids, like those kind of friends. And I think that's really important. Anyway, so we were going to go out and I was actually going to meet another guy out like after I went out with her. So Rachel
Whoopsie.
so Rachel texts me and she's like, "We're going to pregame at this address." Sends me an address, says come. I'm like, "Okay." So I get in an Uber, go to this address, walk up to this apartment, walking through this maze of hallways. It looks like a hotel. I'm like, where am I? I don't even know what's going on. And then I opened the door to this apartment. And then what happened?
Well, my backstory really quickly. I make music, and one day I'm in the studio. I meet this girl who's another artist who's in the studio. The engineer and the three of us end up driving back. He says, "I'll take you guys home." He drops me off. The girl also gets out. I look at her. I say, "Wait, what's going on?" She's like, "Wait, I live here too." By some crazy chance, in this studio session that we had, the girl that I was in the session with lives in my building. Wow, that's insane. We start writing some music together. We become friends. And now, this girl, this artist, and her friend, Rachel, Kate's mutual friend, are now at my house for a little pregame. Rachel then tells me I have this friend named Kate. She's supposed to be going on a date later, but she wants to come by for like a drink or two before to ease the nerve. I'm like, yeah, tell her to come by. Of course, of course. Oh, yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it. Oh. I literally look at Rachel like, oh, okay, you didn't tell me she's a fucking mega babe. That would have been good information to know. But please come in, come in, come in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can I get you a drink? This and that. And you
I
go ahead.
I had the exact same reaction. You opened the door and I was like, "You didn't tell me he was hot."
Well, thank you. That was very nice.
I no, I did. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Kate was wearing this black leather jacket, had these blue jeans on, and you looked like you were about to go out on a casual date. Like it looked like it was about to be a date, but nothing like too high end. So I was like, all right, she's looking fire right now.
So then Will gets me a tequila Sprite. We sit down, start chatting. Other people show up. We go outside to the balcony. We're all talking, laughing, having a good time. Everyone's really getting along. Like everyone's really weirdly, we're all like best friends. And so we're like, "Oh, we're going to have a good night when we go out. This is going to be fun."
Super stoked. But I think you're leaving out some very important details here. The entire little group was doing their own thing. Kate and I were locked in on this couch the entire time. I'm kind of like, what is going on? Like, why is this super babe wanting to talk to me and only me? Like, her two friends were like right there, but like, we were talking this entire time. I didn't think too much of it though. I'm like, wow, like she's such a cool, nice human being. This is an awesome friend that I just made. That was genuinely my first thought because I thought she was out of my league, like for sure. There was no way I thought that I would have a chance with her. Not at all.
That was kind of my first thought too. Like I wasn't thinking of it as we were flirting or anything. We were just Don't give me. He's giving me side eye right now. If you're just
I'm giving
listening.
her side eye because on night one, before we ever did anything, I heard about all these celebrities that she had been with and all of this and that. And I'm like,
When did you hear about this?
I heard about 2 that night. So
From
I said all
who?
these celebrities. I heard about 2 in the group.
From the group?
How did I know that you were with 2 different celebrities the first night we met? You didn't tell me, but like the other girls that we were with told me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're not going to say names, but yeah, pretty big celebs.
All right, enough about the celebrities. Then what happened?
Oh,
Well,
I got a wedgie. Hold on. Nice.
get it?
Yeah, it was a front wedgie. Shit was
Ooh.
creeping up my nuts. So then what happened, Caitlin? So it was time for us to go out. It was time to leave the apartment and go out.
We went to someplace in Silver Lake. I don't even remember. But we all were in a group dancing,
What was
having
that
a good time.
bar?
Something friend?
Oh, best friend.
Is it called Best Friend?
I feel like it is.
I think it's called The Friend or something.
Maybe you're right.
I don't think it's Best Friend.
Oh, we became best friends that night now, didn't we, though?
We did. We all did. We were having a great time dancing around. We were running around. It was a run around night.
It was a very nice night.
Oh, remember we met a bunch of people too.
Oh, I remember.
It was just fun and funny and silly.
We had such a fun night, and I remember I took a couple of videos from that night of like all of us just kind of like dancing in a circle, and who would have thought this is exactly where that night would end up? It's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Pretty cool. So we are at this bar. It's now 3 guys and 3 girls. We're having a blast. Kate's right. We're having so much fun. We're dancing. We're being really, really silly. You know, we're being kooky, having a great time. And at one point, both of my friends individually pull me aside and they're like, dude, this girl is so into you. You're being so blind. You got to go up and chirp at her. You got to chirp at her like she's giving you the eyes. I'm like, guys, no, like she's not. Trust me. It is what it is. Like we have a really good connection. We're being super friendly, but like she's not into me like that. Like, trust me. And I have a really good gauge on this sort of stuff. I'm usually on. Like, I'm the first person to be like, oh, dude, like that girl likes me. Like, oh,
You are.
you know, like I'm just gonna be honest. I had no idea. You were playing your cards very well, if that was your intention from the beginning.
It wasn't. I think I was giving accidental eyes. I didn't even realize I was doing that. It was my subconscious being like,
I'm telling you, I was right. Like I was telling my friends, like I truly at that bar did not think there was some sort of like crazy sexual chemistry or any other level or layer than like, hey, I think we could be really good friends.
I mean, I don't know if I was thinking we could be friends, but
whoa, tell me more, you dirty freak. Oh, this is intel. This is intel.
It's like in Wolf of Wall Street. Is that what it is? She's like, we're not going to be friends. Those vibes.
Margot Robbie vibes?
Yeah. Maybe your friends were right. People do say you sound like Matthew McConaughey, so.
I definitely don't sound like Matthew McConaughey, that's for sure.
You can do a better Southern accent than that. Anyways.
I was trying to do a Matthew McConaughey. I don't know how he talks. That's okay. All right.
Continue.
So, a good sign at the end of the night when you're with a little squad is someone being like, do we want this night to end? No. Okay, after party, yeah. So we all come back to my place and we all started getting drunk at my house.
And we were already drunk when we were out.
We started getting teed up for sure. And slowly but surely, the kind of friend group started to diminish. And mind you, at this time, there was 0% chance in my head that Kate was into me like that. It was not this was not a thing. But I think something happened at the house where our connection grew a little stronger after the bar.
For sure.
I don't know if I'm talking about what you're thinking right now because you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about our genuine vibe we just had, talking, connecting, listening to music when we're back here.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, you were looking at me like, oh, baby, what you about to talk about?
No, I was going to say, because, we've all been drinking, and I am a big talker when I get drunk enough. So I'm sure we were just sitting on the couch together talking. And like you said, people were trickling out. And then it was just us there. And I was just, blah, 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 just running my mouth. No telling what I was saying, honestly.
I mean, I remember pretty much everything that you were saying. So slowly but surely, exactly, people start to leave. And right when the girl who left that I thought and assumed Kate was going to leave with left and she stayed at the house, I was like, what's going on here? Why are you still here? Oh, because you a freak.
Hey!
I'm just joking. Nothing crazy happened night one, but what did happen was 3 hours of a Drake discography listening session, and really incoherent dancing in the living room.
Nothing crazy happened night
Nothing crazy that we got to talk about.
one? Okay.
Night one. Hey. That's for us to know and for them to assume. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon, we're going to be telling the full story on our Patreon.
Full detail.
We're going to give full, unsolicited, raunchy material.
Yeah, I don't remember what we talked about, but I do remember that.
Like I said, freak. That's the real Greek freak right there. That's for sure. Anyways,
next day I get into an Uber to go home.
Oh wait, you slept over?
It's implied.
Interesting.
That's implied, William.
Nothing happened. Just a sleepover.
It was late.
There was Drake. It was Marvin's Room was playing.
Anyways.
He said, passionate from miles away. You know what I'm saying? Passion with the things you said. You understand, right?
I completely understand.
Passing up on my always. I can't even know.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
you
nice.
like that?
Well, what's that? What does he say? And I hate on you, don't think I belong to you. You know.
Just too busy running shit.
That paper, my passion.
Very quick side note.
Bittersweet celebrating.
I decided that I'm only listening to Drake for a week to see what it does to my brain. So I'll keep y'all updated.
It's gonna do awesome stuff for your brain. It's gonna put you in a fun, sexual, powerful, determined.
I know. That's what Drake does.
Goal-setting mood.
People love to hate on Drake. That man has got me out of some ruts, okay? And into the upper echelon of life.
I'm here to debate anyone about Drake. He's one of those few artists where there is no debate. He's an undeniable hit maker. And if you have any disagreement with that, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's elite.
We're telling the story of how we met and just took a quick break to worship Drake.
Drake, if you want to perform at our future wedding, like, let me know.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Anyways, so next,
what would be our first dance song if it was Drake? If it was Drake.
I want to elope unless Drake can play at my wedding. Then I'll have a full-blown wedding. If that can't happen, I'm eloping.
Wow. And we got to get married on a Tuesday. Got the church going up.
Anyways, next day, I get into the Uber and he goes, I'm going to date you. And I said, okay. And then he went to Coachella.
Look, by the time it was ready for you to get in the Uber, we have had an amazing night and morning at this point. You're about to get in the car, and I know that I need to see you again, and that on some level, we will be dating. And so I just happened to let you know I'm going to be dating you, and then close the door.
And I was like, this dude is so full of shit.
And here we are, Beauty and the Greek episode 2 later. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah.
So, anyways, then he goes to Coachella, like the hoe that he is.
I didn't even want to be honest, I didn't want to go to Coachella.
Yeah.
And I got dragged to Coachella with free tickets, enticed by all this. Blah, 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 blah. So I get back to LA and I realize, okay, it's time to let's go on this date. Let's find out if she's as cool as she was on that first night. Because that's what got me was obviously you're stunning and every person's gonna notice her right off the bat, but you're really like the coolest girl I ever met in my life on night one. So I was like, okay, let's figure this out here. So we had a little bit of a hiccup to start our first date.
I thought that Will was picking me up at 7:30. He thought I was meeting him at the restaurant at 7:30. So he texts me. He goes, "I'm here." I text back. I say, "I'm outside. I don't see you."
I start walking outside. I'm like pacing. I'm like, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's probably another petty cash somewhere like on the west side. Maybe she's on a completely different location. That's where my mind went to first.
Yeah, so then I just Ubered there, and it was actually about 2 blocks from my house. I knew it was close, but I didn't know it was that close. Could have walked, but all good.
That's okay. Walking in 72-degree weather in sunny Los Angeles, it sucks. Honestly, it sucks and it's difficult, and no one should do it.
I didn't want to get dirty.
Nah, on date night you can't go for it. On date night, even you got to call an Uber no matter what. I'll give you that.
But get to petty cash. All is good. We laugh it off. We have spicy margaritas.
What was your first impression of seeing me for the second time?
I was like, oh yeah, he's as hot as I remember.
Oh, whoa, nice.
Just like walking up, I was like, nice. And I think he'd already gotten me a drink too. I was like, nice.
I did. I definitely asked you what you wanted once I knew you were in the car. So yeah, okay, good start to the date.
What was your second impression of me?
Holy shit, she's hot. That was my second impression was, whoa, like, okay, like, because I saw you only at night and then in the morning, and then I see you others. I'm like, whoa, like you were even crazier than I remember. Like, she's the most beautiful girl in the world, so it is what it is, and it really threw me off. Your beauty is like insane. So just being honest, that was the first thing I noticed. But quickly after hanging out and talking, remembered how fucking dope you were and how pumped I was to be on this date.
It didn't feel like awkward or anything at all. It was like we were just catching up. Like we'd done it 1,000 times.
About halfway through the date, I was like, oh my gosh, I was 100% correct. This girl, I'm not only going to date, but like she will be my girlfriend. Like for sure that had to happen in my head. Like it was the best date I've ever been on in my life. So after our first date, there was this new movie that had just come out called
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I always fuck up the name. I'm always anywhere. It's like everywhere, anything, somewhere, kind of like all at
Y'all know
once.
the movie we're talking about. You know what it is.
We saw it on one of the opening weekends of it coming out, and it blew our minds, but also we both simultaneously teared up in the middle of the movie. And so literally on our first date, we cried in front of each other.
He teared up. I silent sobbed. Like, you know, when you're holding in the cry and then it's actually a sob, but you have to keep it inside because you're on a date and you're in public. I'm a big movie crier, and if I get teared up, it's over.
I don't know if you remember the scene. Anyone who's watched this movie, it's the scene at the end where the two boulders are like chilling and one like all of a sudden starts rolling down the mountain. I start like getting up like this. So Kate's like not going to see me. Kind of like I have blinders on my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, it's getting emotional. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And I just feel a single tear just drop right over my lid. I was like, fuck. And I like look over my shoulder at Kate like this. And she's just ugly crying. Just like
the worst part is that it
sobbing.
The worst part is that it wasn't like at the end of the movie. It was near the end, but not the end. So I was just crying for the rest of the movie because I couldn't stop.
Yeah, you could not.
I couldn't. It
You
was so
couldn't get it
bad.
together. I think we walked out of the movie and you were like, I don't know why I'm crying
You
so
know
much.
that deep breath after crying at the movies when you walk out, you're like, oh
Hey,
man.
well, that's what happens when you go to one of the greatest movies ever made
On your first
on your
date.
first date and a piece of art on your first date. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. For some reason, I've always like found a lot of value in that. Like, I feel like we have such an amazing relationship, and like the first thing that we ever consumed together was like arguably the one of the best movies ever made. I don't know why I feel like that's really cool.
Well, technically, the first thing we ever consumed together was Drake.
I
So.
thought you were about to say the first thing we ever consumed was each other. And I was about to say, baby, maybe don't say it.
So then after the movies, we just start walking around aimlessly, trying to find a bar to go to. But we're not even realizing that we're walking around aimlessly. We're just enjoying the weather, we're talking.
Strolling.
And then we're like, wait, what are we doing? We're just outside on the street. And like LA's not really a walking city. So we're just walking around in the streets.
Especially where we were at the time of night. It was like really late and it was at a very sketchy part of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah, so we're walking around, and then finally we're like, let's just go in this bar right here. It's a bar called Bar Lubitich, and there was no one in there because at that point it was so late. It was like us, one other person, and the bartender.
Yeah.
And then we get a couple more drinks, and at this point, we're not really talking that much. We're kind of just staring into each other's eyes and
Yeah.
drinking and saying a few words here and there.
I remember the bartender was like trying to make small talk, and then like the guy next to us kept trying to make small talk. This was also crazy. I don't know if you remember this. That all of a sudden we're next to some dude, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what's up, man?" Like he knows me. I'm like, bro, I've never seen you in my life. What is going on? He's like, "Oh yeah, you don't know who I am?" I'm like, bro, no. He's like, "I live in your building. I see you every day." I'm like, well, what is up with these people like living in my building and like this connection with Kate? It's super weird, but like, I don't know, kind of a weird sign. But we ended up trying to block this guy out for a minute, but like everyone kept trying to talk to us. I'm like, dude, I'm staring into her soul right now. Can you give me a second? What the fuck? My goodness.
But yeah, we basically stayed there until I feel like we stayed there until closing, right?
Oh, we closed that place.
Yeah, and then Will was like trying to drop me off at my house. I was like, "Why are you doing that?"
Because I'm a nice guy. I wasn't gonna assume that you were gonna come back to my place or that I was gonna go into yours. I'm gonna let you come to me. You know what I'm saying? Literally and figuratively.
Anyways, I looked at him and I was like, "I'm not going home."
I said, "Oh, it's on." And that was the last day I was ever single. We had such an amazing night. Like, I'm not talking about the raunchy shit, but I'm saying like we just felt so comfortable with one another right off the bat. And going back to what we were talking about before we got into the meetup, I think it's because we were acting so ourselves. You know, there was never a moment since we've started dating where we've ever pretended to be anyone else or we haven't been comfortable being exactly who we are. And I think that's set a precedent for the entire relationship. And I think if you can get to the point where you can meet somebody that you can be unapologetically yourself with, the normal amount of relationship problems are going to come up, but these catastrophic blowouts and these massive fights that people ask us all the time about, like, oh, what do you guys argue about and what do you fight about? Like, they're going to be mitigated a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, when you find someone that you're comfortable being 100% yourself around, they're gonna lift you up and they're gonna make you more of yourself. It's not gonna be one of those relationships where you feel like
Mm.
you're losing yourself or your friends are like, oh, she's like acting different 'cause she's in a relationship. Like, people are gonna notice. They're gonna be like, oh, like she's even more of herself when she's with him.
You bring up a great point, and one thing I just want to bring up a bit of a side note. Your friends, who are now my friends, are amazing people. And one of the things I remember asking Kate about when we first met is like, hey, are your friends kind of bummed that like, I'm taking away a bunch of their time with you and you're hanging out with me? And you were like, no, not at all. They completely understand. They know that I wouldn't be spending time with somebody that I don't really, really enjoy. And my happiness makes them really happy. And if I'm being completely honest and transparent, it made me almost more secure and comfortable in our own relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bottom line, when you do the things that make you the most you, when you make hard decisions, you choose what you value in life, you cut out what you don't value, and you kind of grow up, stand up for yourself, do the things that really make you happy, things that make you happy are going to come into your life, even more of them, whether that be career, relationship, whatever. So work on yourself and you'll get to a point in your life where someone that aligns with where you are now is going to come into your life.
Mm,
And even if they don't, now you love your life. So it's all good.
that's so beautiful. And that's so true. Find out who you want to be, and the person that you're supposed to be with will come to you.
Amen.
Hey, 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 hey.
Should we get into some questions?
Let's answer some questions, man. Y'all have been so awesome submitting stories, questions. So the more detailed the questions, the better we will be able to help you.
If you want to ask a question, you can email us at beautyandthegreekshow@gmail.com. And if you want even more Q&A content, we're going to be doing more of that on Patreon. And if you want to make sure your question is answered 100%, ask it on Patreon. It will be answered on Patreon. Let's get into the questions, baby.
Let's get into the questions. Okay, this is from a viewer named Gail. She says, feel free to use my name. Hello, Gail. Thank you
Hey.
so much for the email. I will start off by saying that I really love you guys. Aw,
Thank you.
thank you so much. And after being stuck in a year of hanging around bad people, I've changed and noticed the wonders that can happen when you surround yourself with good people. But most importantly, make sure you are the best possible version of you that you can be before letting new people in, which you guys have helped with. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Hey, Gail, you're welcome. Sounds like you're doing some
Yeah, good for you.
awesome work on yourself, and I'm really proud of you. Basically, I really like this guy who I met at the grocery store, and I randomly went up to him and asked him for his information.
First of all, good move.
Okay, Gail, I see you shoot that shot. I went up to him and asked him for his information after also seeing him at church. Oh, nice, Gail. Gail, what you
Gail
just...
goes for it.
Gail saw that prize and said, I need it. That's my prize. Okay, Gail. So I asked him for his information after also seeing him at church. After hanging around a bad crowd a few months ago, I have taken a break from dating to work on myself, and my parents also think it's best, but both of his parents have passed away. Oof. So I invited him over for Easter dinner with family and friends so he wouldn't be alone.
So nice.
That was very nice of you. I'm sure he really, really appreciated that. I can tell you firsthand, once I met your family, there was a certain level of connection I felt that we gained after. You're just going to naturally feel closer to somebody after knowing their family. So I invited him over for Easter dinner with family and friends so he wouldn't be alone. We really connected, and I have never been more attracted to a guy who makes me feel even more happy than I already am. My parents adore him and are so glad he is waiting until freaking September.
Waiting for what? What does that mean?
To hook up?
I don't know.
I know there's church vibes here, but Gail, I'm curious what you're so excited that he's waiting for, but I digress. He compliments me all the time. He does the small things without being asked. Is the handsomest guy I have ever laid eyes on. We share same values and really truly makes an effort. You sure this isn't you? Did you write this?
We didn't meet at church.
We also are going to the same college. He treats me like a queen. This sounds great, and it is, but I have one problem. I am a huge overthinker. Now, I know a lot of women are, but in previous relationships, I have made the mistake of messaging too much, not giving proper space, unhealthy clinginess, etc. I have since worked on that since my last relationship, but I am scared of it happening again. So I get nervous, and then I get home and feel like texting and apologizing because I talk too much or I have a nervous laugh, etc. I have apologized to him before for this, and he tells me it's fine and asks me what he can do to make me feel less nervous. This guy is the man. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, he sounds great.
Now I have started waiting to reply since I'm scared of being too clingy. Aw, Gail. When does talking too much make me clingy? But when does waiting make me unattractively distant? I'm a very lovey person. I just don't always express myself in the best way to guys initially because of my nervousness. How do I calm those? And do I talk to him about them? I'm a very open person, and talking about stuff makes me feel better. All the love, Gail. First off, Gail, I'm going to go ahead and give you a round of applause. You were vulnerable, you were open, you were honest, and I very much appreciating you trusting us to answer some of these questions.
Absolutely.
I think I want to start by addressing what does talking too much make me clingy, but when does waiting make me unattractively distant?
I think that he already likes you. You said you're an overthinker. I think you are really overthinking this. If he's even saying, like, what can I do to make you less nervous? The talking too much in your eyes, it doesn't bother him. And you going out of your way to wait longer to reply to text, all of that, you don't need to do that.
Not at all. And I apologize. You've been in past relationships where maybe the guys made you feel like that. And maybe you have been too clingy at times, and that's okay. Part of this journey about finding your soulmate is going through the hiccups, the bumps, taking L's. I have an expression I love to say: we don't take losses, we learn. And if you can put yourself in that perspective and that mindset, that no matter what I'm going to be going through here, it'll be a learning process, whether that's a first date, whether that's something you screwed up on, whether that's a character trait of the person that you're with that you don't really like. These are all things that are going to help you through this process and help you find your soulmate.
Yeah, I genuinely think that you are just overthinking this. And I overthink a lot of stuff, so I get it. But right now, you're in this overthinking loop, right? He's saying to you, what can I do to make you less nervous? He's
Mm,
chill. He's good with all of this. It's just you. And I say this lovingly because I say this to myself all the time. Like, no one else has a problem with what you're doing. It's just you. And you're sitting here thinking, okay, if I talk like this amount, is that too much? Is that the right amount? If I texting back at this amount of time, am I being too clingy? I think that you should go with what you feel. And if you feel like you're being too clingy because you're putting a lot of your like time and effort into this person, maybe take some time and just do a mental check and be like, have I been not doing the things that I like to do because I'm putting so much time and effort into this person and thought into all of this overthinking about this person? So when you start overthinking about this, just go do something that you like to do. Hang out with your friends, hang out with your family, and that overthinking will eventually stop. And also owning the fact, which you did, she talked to him about it,
mhm.
that in talking and being open and vulnerable about how you are nervous, I think that's really good. Sometimes just getting it out and saying it, it takes a little bit of that pressure off because you're not embarrassed about it, which is awesome because you shouldn't be.
Also, by reading at the end of that email that you're a very lovey person and that you love to express your emotions, what were we talking about at the beginning of this episode? Being unapologetically yourself. That sounds to me like that's who you are.
That's a good thing. A lot of people have trouble expressing their emotions and being a lovey person. That's a good thing.
You know, I agree with you. And I'll even take it a step further. I think I don't even know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just a thing. It's a part of you, and that's who you are. And once you recognize that, and it sounds like that's also something that you like about yourself. The tone I was getting was that that's something that you view as a positive. Maybe other people have been viewing that as a negative. Keep being yourself, and that right person, which could be this guy, will come along. Sounds like he likes it. And I'll tell you firsthand, I don't want my girlfriend to take 6 hours to respond to my text or even an hour. I would love if, as soon as my girlfriend sees the text, she responds back. If it happens to be 6 hours, it's 6 hours. But I don't want to play any games with the love of my life.
Yeah, it sounds like you're thinking, oh, I should play these games. Oh, I should do this. Maybe because of something in your past, but you don't have to do that. And it sounds like he appreciates the way that you are. And you're the one being like, oh, I shouldn't be this way. You are that way. So just accept it, and the right person will also accept it.
There's certain times where I second guess myself, even still to this day. Like I can get weird. I can have a few cups of coffee and woo, I'm bouncing off the walls. And then I'm like, dude, am I annoying my girlfriend to an extent that like she literally would rather do anything than be standing in the same room with me right now? And that's never the case. And sometimes as human beings, we get caught up in our own heads. That's perfectly fine. But like I said, just do you. And the more you do you, that'll show confidence, which is the most attractive thing, especially to someone who already likes you.
Good luck, Gail.
Hey, Gail, thank you for the question. I hope you figure it out with your mans. And I'm also curious, give us an update in a month.
Give us an update about what September means. I don't know.
Oh, good
Waiting until
point.
September, what is it?
To
I
wake
want to
up.
know.
Wake up when it ends.
Please let us know. Actually, I am curious. We're going to get to the questions portion now. We're going to answer one on here, and then we're going to do the rest on Patreon. And we have a lot today, so there will be a lot on Patreon.
We got a lot of questions. Thank y'all for submitting. We can see if we can answer all of them.
Yeah. What's a healthy way to work through arguments as a couple?
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like the most important thing when dealing with an argument or a fight between y'all is realize that you got to solve this shit together. You have to handle this together. It's not you versus you. This is you both versus the problem. It's very easy to get caught up and to get comfortable. Oh, you're around each other all the time. Now I can kind of talk to y'all a little bit more aggressively than anybody else. Now I can talk to you with a little bit more attitude. I'm guilty of that. You're guilty of that. All human beings are guilty of that. And that is not the way. If you can just kind of get to the point where you are like, look, we have this argument, we have this disagreement, we have to be respectful to each other, and we're going to handle it together. I think it's easy. Win-win. As long as you know that even in the biggest disagreement, you don't attack each other, you can always come to a resolution.
I agree. I think a lot of people, like you said, they get comfortable, so they think you can be a little more aggressive or like snappy with how you talk to that person. But you really got to think, this is the person that I love the most. Why would I talk to them in that way? You know, why would I be more aggressive with them? If this is the person I love the most, I should be giving them the utmost respect and I should hear them out. If you're having an argument that escalates into a fight, it's not because someone is mad at you. They don't want to come at you. It's because they're upset, you know?
Totally. I have a little advice for anyone that's in a fight with their partner, but it's not a major fight. It's over something stupid. Especially if you realize you're going to be with this person for a very, very long time. Hopefully grow old with them. Think about when you are 80 years old. You would give anything to be back at this exact moment of time in the middle of this argument, in the middle of the fight. You cannot get time back. It's the most valuable thing. And at the end of the day, a lot of these big blowouts are over the most minuscule things. So try to take a step back, realize, what are we doing here? Give each other a hug, give each other a smooch, tell each other how much you love each other, and be like, okay, let's fucking address this together.
Yeah. Just de-escalate the situation by having some perspective, you know?
De-escalate. Something that I think you are very good at.
Yeah. I like to take a step back, take a breath.
Yeah, you're nice at that. So we are going to be moving this show over to our Patreon, which we are very excited to continue. The conversations get a little bit more unfiltered, a little bit raunchier. We're going to ask the remainder of our questions. And this is a portion of our show where if you do have a question you need answered, ask it through our Patreon. All of the questions that are asked through Patreon will 100% be answered every single time.
The link to the Patreon will be in the show notes. If you're wondering where to find it, show notes.
Show notes. Anything else real quick before we hop off this YouTube?
Oh man, we're going to have a good weekend. I'm just excited.
We got so much. We're going to see Toro Imoy. We're going to see James Blake, who's like one of my favorite artists of all time.
Yeah.
Steve Lacy's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Let's go have a good weekend. Hope you guys have a great week.
Thanks for watching Beauty and the Greek. Catch us episode 3 next Monday. We'll see y'all soon.
Love y'all.
If you like it.
Yasas malakas.
Yasas.